You feel it instantly. The shift in their tone, the change in their energy. They don't even have to say anything. Maybe it's the way they put their keys down on the counter, a little louder than usual. Maybe it's how they answer a simple question. Or maybe it's just something different in their face you can't even name. You just know something feels off. And just like that, your attention is completely hijacked. You could have been perfectly fine 2 minutes ago. You were watching television, making dinner, working on something, scrolling through your phone, whatever. But now, a part of your attention is on them. And your mind has already started asking questions like, what's wrong? Did something happen? Are they upset with me? Should I ask? Should I just leave them alone? Did I say something weird earlier? And what's so interesting is how quickly that can happen in a split second. Somebody else walked into the room with a mood, and somehow you picked up an assignment. That's the part I've been thinking about, because nobody actually asked us to do anything. They didn't walk into the room and say, I'm upset, and I'd like you to take responsibility for figuring this out and fixing it. They were just upset. We noticed. So when did noticing become responsibility? Just because you notice something doesn't mean you're responsible for it, because those are not the same thing. I believe that some of us are incredibly good at reading a room. We notice the little things. We notice when somebody's voice changes, just a fraction. We notice a fleeting facial expression, a little bit of distance, or a response that doesn't sound quite right. It can happen over text, can't it? Somebody who normally responds with a whole sentence or a bunch of emojis suddenly sends back K. End of story. Apparently, we're doing K today. Apparently. And now you're looking at that single letter on your screen like you're examining evidence in a crime. What does that mean? Did I do something? Was my last text weird? So you scroll up and you read what you sent. It looks perfectly normal, but you read it again. And then a third time, because clearly something must have happened between their usual okay and this K that they text you. Now, I'm making light of it, but think about what's actually happening there. Nothing has necessarily happened. We don't have any real information. All we know for sure is that we noticed a change and our brain immediately started looking for our role in this change that we noticed. And that's interesting to me. And it doesn't only happen in one kind of relationship. Maybe your partner, right, comes home quieter than usual. And before you know it, you're adjusting yourself. You might become a little more cheerful, trying to lift the energy in the house. If you might ask if everything's okay, they say, yeah, I'm fine, but you know it's not fine. So now what? Maybe you decide to give them space. But then you start wondering whether giving them space is the right thing to do or if it comes across as cold. Which means you're still managing the situation even while you're supposedly staying out of it. Maybe it's your adult child. You call them and something in their voice sounds irritated. And now you're replaying the first 30 seconds of the conversation on a loop, trying to figure out whether you said something wrong the second you said hello. Maybe it's a friend who says, it's fine, in that very particular tone of voice that tells you it is absolutely 100% not fine. And now a part of you feels like you have to get to the bottom of it. You have to investigate and solve the mystery of the fine. It can happen at work too. Your boss sends you a message that says, can we talk? That's it. 3 words. And suddenly you're mentally reviewing your entire employment history for the last 6 months. What did I do, you think to yourself? Different people, different situations, but there's this same little internal shift that happens every single time. Something feels off, and almost immediately the question becomes, what am I supposed to do about it? I've been wondering where that second part comes from. Not the noticing. We all can notice things. What I've been wondering about is the responsibility. Because noticing people can be a beautiful thing. Being emotionally aware, being sensitive to people you care about, that can be a real strength. Caring that somebody you love is having a hard day isn't the problem. What interests me is why their discomfort can make us so uncomfortable that we feel compelled to change it. Why can't somebody we love just be upset? Why can't they be disappointed? Why can't they be quiet? Why can't they just have a bad day without us immediately feeling like we're supposed to enter the situation and do something? And I wonder if, for some of us, we learned somewhere along the way that peace wasn't simply something that existed around us. Peace was something we had to help create. Maybe you became the easy one in your family. You were the one who didn't add any more problems to the pile. You just knew when mom had had enough. You knew when dad wasn't in the mood. You knew without being told that it wasn't a good time to ask for something. You could tell when somebody needed space before they ever actually told you they needed it. Nobody necessarily sat you down and said, this is your job now. Nobody did that. You are in charge of the emotional temperature. Nobody said that either. You may have simply gotten very, very good at reading the room. And maybe being able to read the room helped you. It helped you move through the room more safely. There's actually language for some versions of this. When we spent a long time in emotional, unpredictable environments, we can actually become highly attuned to subtle changes around us. Our nervous systems are on high alert all the time. Sometimes that's described as hypervigilance. But I'm actually less interested in what we call it than I am in what we may have come to believe because of it. Maybe the belief wasn't, I need everybody to be happy all the time. Maybe that wasn't it. That's almost too simple. Maybe it started much more quietly as a question. If something is wrong in this room, I need to know. And then maybe that became, if something is wrong in this room, maybe I can do something about it. And somewhere along the way, over the years, that can become a quiet, solid belief. If something is wrong in this room, I'm responsible for making it right. You start to believe that. That's different. And once you get really good at the role, people may actually come to appreciate it. You're considerate, you're thoughtful, you're easy to talk to. You anticipate what people need. You know when to smooth things over, when to change the subject, when to make the joke, and when to give somebody space. And even when to check in. You can walk into a room and immediately feel the emotional temperature. And for a long time, you might simply think that's part of who you are. You might even be proud of it. You might say, I'm intuitive, I'm empathetic, I'm just good with people. That's a beautiful thing. And you may be all of those things. But what I've started wondering is whether there's a difference between being able to read the room and believing it's my responsibility to manage the room. Because I don't think I always knew there was a difference. And here's where I think this gets even more interesting. What happens when you notice somebody is upset and you don't do anything about it? You know they're upset. You can feel it, that something is different, but you don't ask what's wrong. You don't start explaining yourself just in case it was you. You don't become extra pleasant to try to cheer them up. And you don't start investigating. You just allow them to be in whatever mood they're in. How does that feel? For some of us, it feels terrible. It can feel like failing. Not because we've actually done anything wrong. You've not actually failed at anything. But it's because now we have to sit in the room where something feels unresolved. And maybe that's part of what we've been trying to escape all along. Maybe I wasn't trying to fix their mood because their mood actually needs fixing. Maybe sometimes I was trying to fix their mood because I couldn't relax while their mood existed. And that changes the question completely. Because now, we're not really talking about their feelings anymore. We're talking about mine. Maybe I need you to be okay because I don't know how to be okay when you're not. And if that's true, then some of what I thought was helping may actually have been my attempt to get rid of my own discomfort. Now, that's not an accusation. I actually think it's a really compassionate thing to notice about ourselves. Because it makes sense. If somewhere along the way you learned that tension meant something bad might happen, or that somebody being upset meant you needed to pay very close attention, then of course your body wants the room to settle again. Of course, relief comes when everybody seems okay. But that doesn't necessarily mean their mood was ever ours to manage. I think this is where caring and responsibility can get tangled together so easily. I can care that you're upset without becoming responsible for making you feel better. I can ask whether you want to talk. I can listen if you do. I can sit beside you in the quiet. And I can love you through a bad day. And your bad day can still belong to you. Those things can exist at the same time. But if I've spent years believing that being a good partner or a good mother, a good daughter, a good friend, or even a good employee means being aware of what everybody else needs before they ever have to ask, then allowing somebody to be uncomfortable may not feel like care at all. It might actually feel like I'm failing them. Like I'm not helping them as much as I should or I could. And that's where this becomes bigger than a habit. Because now we're talking about identity. Maybe I learned to be the easy one, the helpful one, the reasonable one, and the peacekeeper, the woman who could handle things, the woman who knew what everybody needed, or the woman that made things better. And if I've built a whole identity around being that woman, then what happens is that not stepping in can feel strangely wrong, even when nobody asked me to step in. I think that's the piece I didn't always understand. I thought being good at reading the room meant I was supposed to do something with everything I noticed. That's a lot of responsibility. But the truth is that those are not the same thing. I can notice without being responsible for it. I can notice your disappointment without immediately changing my decision. I can notice your irritation without assuming I caused it. I can notice your silence without feeling the need to fill it. And I can notice you're having a bad day without making it my job to turn it into a good one. And I can read the room without managing the room. Maybe that's the distinction I was missing. Maybe I wasn't actually keeping the peace. Maybe I was keeping myself responsible for it. Strong doesn't mean exhausted, and regulated doesn't mean passive.